Way! It's Friday afternoon, of course, and the sound of Andy Gillen's mega mix of the BBC News means it's the two Revs on philosophy. Good to see you. Took my teeth out this morning, washed them, can't do anything with them. Good to see you all, and of course, good to see you, Reverend Tony. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. Very well. It's beautifully sunny here down on the East Coast, or up on the East Coast from you.
Up on the yes,
Up on
yes,
the
yes,
East
yes.
Coast. It's much nicer than it was this morning. It was very grey and miserable and looked like it may rain, but
Yes.
it's been kind. It's been kind
Good.
and it's gorgeous. And while we were talking, the Bedlingtons were going mental, but I'm just going to. It all just flaked out, so they heard the theme tune and thought, must go
time
to sleep.
To shut. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, a lot of people do that, I'm sure. Well, we are joined by so many people already saying hello, which is wonderful. So a hello to Claire, hello to Chrissy, hello to Stace, hello to Linda, also known as Mum. Joanne, hello.
A Facebook user.
Yes, we have a Facebook user there. Yes, we have got to sing to Shelley when she gets on, of course. We are, of course, joined by the lovely AD. Hey, look, she's fixed the name. Hi, Cherry.
Hi, Cherry.
We are joined by the lovely Wendy Lindsay. How you doing, my lovely? Try and keep up. Mum says it's raining here. Michael, yes, Michael, hello. He's been playing music in the background.
Yes.
While we were chatting before the show, so we've had very much a musical theme. My cousin, hello, Ruth. You know. And Facebook user, one of them at least, is Leslie. Hello, Leslie.
Jen.
Jen, of course. Jen, remind me on Wednesday. I'll talk you through fixing it. It's really, really easy. I promise. Yeah. It does reset once a month, though. So.
Yeah, and Michelle Ross at the bottom there.
Hello, Michelle. Welcome.
I want to be wherever that is on the photo.
I know. Lovely, isn't it?
That looks lovely.
We are, of course, having a family reunion here between mother and cousin. It's so nice to see everybody commenting and saying hello to each other as well as us. Oh, it's Whitby Harbour.
Away from me.
There you go. Go for take the dogs for a walk up to Whitby Harbour. There you go.
Yeah.
Probably need to drive a little bit of the way there.
Yeah. Just half an hour or so, and then walk. Yeah. But,
yes.
Anyway.
Absolutely. And of course, the lovely Chrissy back with us. Good to see you, my lovely. Good to see you. Welcome. Stace loves Whitby. I think we might have we might have an on-site, a live broadcast. Yeah, I'll go up and do it from Hunstanton in the car with a bag of fish and chips. You can do it from Whitby Harbour,
We'll see the sea.
Absolutely. So, of course, today is a special day, especially if you are Irish. I believe, yes, Stace did mention it.
Oh, yes.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And, of course, we did think... yes, right. Joanne, must explain. We on this app that we use, StreamYard, we are able to share the stream to numerous locations. So we share it to Facebook, my profile. We share it to facebook.com/groups/2Revs, the group page of this wonderful show. And onto my YouTube channel as well. And of course, you can then share those shares all over the place. So
Yeah.
if you share it to your own page, whatever comments come up in the chat stream would just come up on your chat stream. So that's why I try and share as many comments as I possibly
Mm. Mm.
can. So yes, there are a
Hi,
number of pages.
there are, yes. Hi, Daniel. Daniel
Thank
Carlton.
Dalton. Hello, hello,
Yeah.
hello. So yes, that explains why you can't see all of the comments coming up, Joanne. Unfortunately, it is it's great because we can reach the link as all over the place. But the unfortunate thing is you do rely on me sharing some of the names. It can feel like
Yeah.
you're watching on your own, but I believe a lot of people actually watch it from the Two Revs Facebook page.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, Whitby is 2 hours.
oh,
Wow.
is it 2 hours away?
I
Wow,
didn't think it was that far.
it's certainly a lot closer than me though.
Yeah, definitely.
Chrissy says my mother was
Oh,
Irish.
that
That's where
explains it a
you went.
lot.
Yes, it does make a lot of sense now. So, of course, today being St. Patrick's Day, we thought we'd kick off the topic with saints, because there's a lot of stuff, isn't there, to unpack when it comes to those that are canonized,
Mm.
and what their various connections may be. But of course, if you think that it's not a spiritualist thing, just look at another word: pioneers. Because if you think about it, we do to the pioneers exactly what other religions do to the saints. We do to an extent put them on a pedestal. We revere the work and remember the work that they have done. So the pioneers are basically an informal sainthood. Um, I'm sure there is I'm sure there is a Saint Chrissy. I will have a look in a moment, actually.
Mm.
So yes, I mean, obviously today St. Patrick was the Bishop of Ireland in the Catholic Church. So at least he spent time in the place he is patron saint of. Unlike St. George, who never set a foot in England, even though he is the patron saint of England and many other places in actual fact. He was born in the Middle East, died in the Middle East, and never ever set foot in Blighty. Most English person there is. Yeah.
Indeed.
And of course, the patron saint of nails is, of course, Saint Tony.
These are
Now,
the same ones I've had on for 2 weeks now. So yeah,
ah,
we were going to get done today, but we went charity shopping instead and bought, I don't know how many pounds worth of singles and long players and.
there's nothing like an LP. There's
Oh,
nothing like a 6-inch vinyl. It's music is awesome.
it is,
Behave
yes.
now. Behave. We are walking down the dangerous route here, aren't we?
We are, yes.
But there are St. Christina. Oh, that was you.
That
Well
was me,
done.
yes, yes.
St. Christina of Bolsonar. There's also, here we go, Santa Cristina from Largo. Oh, the same one. Just with the with the local name.
The full name on her, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So you're being told off now. You should have had green
I know,
nails for St.
I
Paddy's
know,
Day.
I know, I know.
But yes, I mean St. Patrick was based in Ireland, which is something to be happy about, considering many saints are not named and focused on their local
Yes, indeed,
area.
indeed.
I am just doing a Google search to answer Joe's
Yeah.
question. Ah, he was from Canaan, same place as
Oh.
a very dear friend of ours,
Yes,
um,
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Joshua Carpenter. So
Yeah.
yes, from the land of Canaan, a fine example of a family man,
Yeah.
Jacob. Jacob.
Jacob
Right.
and Sons. Yep.
Um, the only way I can still remember the 12 tribes of Judah is from that song. Well, the
Mm.
easiest way, anyway. But yes, so St. Christopher was from Canaan. St. Nicholas, of course, Father
Uh,
Christmas.
can I just say I can bag two?
You
I
can
can bag
bag to.
two. St. Anthony and St. Stephen.
Of course.
My full moniker is Anthony Stephen.
Yes, 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 yes. And in actual fact, none of them become saints until they pass from the physical, because
Nope.
once they die, they have to be canonized. And then there has to be an investigation. And sometimes those investigations can take a life age as it is.
Mm.
So in order to become a saint, you have to have performed miracles, died, and been approved by the Catholic Church, back in the day at least. So that is how you become a saint. We're a lot less formal.
Is it 3 miracles?
I believe it's 3, yes.
I thought it was 3
Um,
miracles. That's a lot of. That's a big ask.
well, when you consider, and here's the thing, and here's where it crosses over into spiritualism. When you consider healing is one such miracle that can be used to canonize someone. You gotta say that every single, hard work to become a saint. Absolutely, death is one of those, key pointers. That's a bit of a
That's a big
struggle
ask.
even
Yeah.
on its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you consider that healing is one of the miracles that can be performed, it's no surprise that in our way of life, those pioneers that we consider vital to the progression of our way of life, and that's another thing that a lot of saints are held accountable for, is the development and growth of the religion of which they are part of. Um, the pioneers did do that. They progressed spiritualism, made it known, made it
Mm.
public, and they performed such miracles as healing and communicating um, with the dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a few times that's mentioned in a certain book that people get a bit pissy
Yeah.
about,
You
uh,
do. You do indeed,
in
you are.
more ways
You do.
than one. And yes, they are actually trying to. I believe they've canonized her already. Which is, I believe they're kind of like in the process. Also, Pope Jean Paul II,
Mm.
they have canonized him certainly, and they're trying to make him a saint. And it's really really important that when we look at those processes that are in place that are very formal in this way of life, we do that by attitude and by nature. It is I prefer to use the term the pioneers are the people's saints, because they are remembered by the people. The stories are told by the people.
Hmm.
So there is a lot of parallels between sainthood and the pioneers of spiritualism. You can sit there and reel off half a dozen names in spiritualism as quickly as you can: St. Christopher, St. Nicholas, St. Francis of Assisi, St. Sebastian. I mean, let's be honest. With the amount of time that there has been with saints, you could you could probably just say any name, and there would be a saint that was one.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
so what is everyone's thoughts on sainthood and the parallels between that and the pioneers of spiritualism? And there you go, exactly. And I was thinking about that name earlier on. Harry Edwards, Maurice Barbanel, of course,
Mm.
Gordon Higginson, Doris Stokes. Harry Edwards, of course, a more recent a more recent name, but still someone who very much carried the work of Spirit forward. But what does it take in spiritualism to be remembered?
I think for me, the people that spring to mind immediately are those that worked true to spirit
Yes.
and worked to the highest energy.
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And those are the people that were devoted to the religion and this
Yes.
way of life. Absolutely, absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
and it's yeah. I mean, we don't ask for people to jump through hoops and to have died. There should be a Saint Jesus.
Well, I'm sure there's a St. Joshua,
Yeah,
which
probably.
is the approximate translation.
Mm,
Interestingly enough, there are, obviously there is that definition between a saint and the work that Jesus did. He is called the Messiah, or a Messiah and a prophet, depending on where you're from.
mm.
Um, do you think that there is that cross correlation, that it's people behaving as close to that character, that figure, as possible? Because if you look, I mean, you've got the 40 days of walking through the desert. You've got the bringing Lazarus back, water into wine, the performing of all of the miracles. Do you think that it's a correlation with being the definition of what it is to be that way of life
Yes.
in
Yeah,
its
I
core?
would go there. I would go there, yeah.
In which case, surely in this way of life, our job is to be like unto, putting it in a very deep and meaningful way of putting it, I know, and I apologize for that. I'm in that kind of mood today. Be as like unto those pioneers as we possibly can, in order to do the work and use them as an example of what it is to be a spiritualist, rather than, because nobody sets out to become a saint.
No, no.
Francis of Assisi, certainly St. Sebastian, just converted to Christianity and got hung and shot for it. We see those people who try and live that spiritual life as much as possible, and then they are rewarded for their suffering by being remembered. Because if we look at the pioneers, they suffered.
Yes. Yeah.
They suffered for their way of life. We are extremely lucky. We are extremely lucky that the path that the pioneers have laid for us means that we can do our work now without the persecution, to an extent. Yeah, people take the pee, but nobody's getting nobody's getting put in prison for it anymore. Nobody's
No,
getting
no.
hurt anymore. So they did lay a path for us to be able to do what we do.
Just as you said, put in prison for it, Helen Duncan sprang to mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
1951, it's the most recent,
still trying to get her conviction overturned and quashed.
yes, absolutely. And it's, when I think looking at our history and looking at the pioneers is really important, because when it comes to this way of life, it's hard to believe sometimes that it is 70 years since one of us was put in prison and
Tried
died
of being,
because of that. He
tried
tried of being a
being a
witch.
witch. Yeah,
Because it was under the Witchcraft Act. It was
yeah.
the Fraudulent Mediums Act didn't come into being until after 1951,
Mm,
and it replaced the Witchcraft Act.
yeah.
So I think it's really important that we should try and be as self-sacrificing as we can,
Mm,
but we don't do it to become pioneers. We do it because it's the right bloody thing to do. And that's
absolutely.
what really, really bugs me, because it ties in with this whole thing in our way of life at the moment. There is so much talk about ego.
Yeah.
And absolutely, there are a lot of ego people around in any walk of life. But I sometimes worry that if we lecture people about ego so much, people will be afraid to actually do things.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of being accused of having ego, when actually all it is compassion and kindness. Wanting to give up their free time. And so I think it is one of those potential tools. Like as Stasis said, fear is a dangerous emotion in the wrong hands, and it can be used against you. It can be used against you. That fear of, I don't do anything other than because I feel it's the right thing to do. And I have been accused of, oh, that's a little bit of ego that you're there, aren't you? It's like, I don't want to be known for being nice to people. I just want to be nice to people,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So in our way of life, there is that dangerous. Yes, there is still that risk, Joanne. I totally agree. I was myself,
Oh,
actually.
Chrissy.
I You two are saints for choosing to share your Friday afternoons with us and taking on board and taking on board about the panto. Well, absolutely, we are still working on that.
Yes, absolutely we are. But
Yes, 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 yes.
to go back to what you were saying, Nick, it it isn't ego to want to go out in front of people, deliver messages from their loved ones to as many people as possible, and to do a good job of it.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and when people say it's ego, it's like, no, because it's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
The whole process has very little to do with me, other than I am that little Bluetooth speaker, as Michael puts it. So I pick up the transmission and then spout it out
yeah,
to the people it's needed to be with. And that's not ego. That's just
no,
wanting to do a good job for God, for Spirit, and for the people that have come to see you, and put the
yeah.
money in the offering tray every week.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know whether I shared this or not. If I didn't, I'm going to again. Use yourself as the example by behaving as the pioneers did. Exactly. And nobody accuses the pioneers of being egotistical when they, did everything that they did. There is, just referencing what Joanne said about the being accused of psychosis and being put back on meds. There will be a generation of mediums remembered for coming back against that, I
Mm,
think,
yeah,
because it is the current club that is being used against us, as and there was always a club against a saint, and there was always a club against a pioneer,
absolutely,
which is
absolutely.
once again that other similarity, the accusation, the attack, and the experience. But those three words, Stace, are everything to me. Love, light, and truth. Love, light. Everything that we do should be in love and light and truth. You're absolutely right. Evidential and humble, a healer in every aspect of life and deed, both verbal, physical, non-verbal, and non-physical. It's exactly why the
Exactly what.
pioneers are remembered.
Yeah, that's
Quick,
exactly why.
quick hello, of course, to the lovely Paul. Hello, darling. welcome, welcome, welcome. And yeah,
I was just going to say
happy
it, Shelley.
birthday
Happy
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday.
to
You take it.
you. Happy birthday, dear Shelley. There's a delay, so we kept looping and jumping over each other, but happy birthday to you. We can't sing together on here. That's
No.
obviously a given. Thank you. Yes. Ego is confidence that has too much.
Red
You know,
Bull.
Red Bull.
Yes.
Yes. Red. And this is the thing. Yes, we have to be careful of it. I
Yes.
totally agree. But we should just not have the Red Bull. You know?
Yeah.
I
That's
like
true.
the Red Bull. So, are we happy that our pioneers are informally remembered, or do we think there should be some formal process? And if so, once again, who's going to manage that?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because spiritualism is a little bit not non-cohesive at the minute. It's going to be difficult because we know one large organization that will try and snaffle it and say it's our responsibility to do that because we are spiritualism. No, you're not. You're not my version of spiritualism. And so I think that's where we would run into issues if we tried to do a formal acknowledgement of those who led the path for us and the giants upon whose shoulders we stand. So I do think it would get so politicized and yeah, I think it will be a bit difficult to do. Sorry, I've just realized I've got a splinter of wood in my finger and it's really painful.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Ow. And yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Obviously the splinter hurting as well. I totally agree that happens. But yeah, I totally agree. The politicizing, and I think to an extent it would probably sully it as well. I think it would sully it. The reason the pioneers have such a big impact is because it is the mutual respect and popularity of their work that has made them the pioneers.
Yeah.
So, I'll be honest, I agree with you to the extent that I think that it would mess it up if anybody tried to make it a formal process. I mean, you've only got to look at the process of becoming a saint now in other organizations and other ways of life to see that it takes forever, rather than everyone saying, this person's brilliant, this person's great, go and look at the work they did. End of.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how they've become known as pioneers at the end of the day.
Yes, by doing it under the radar and just getting on with it and not making a huge hoo-ha about it. And just to loop all of that back to ego, for me, that's where that line is, when it's not about
you're getting told off, boy.
I know. That's where ego starts to kick in, when it's not about just getting the work done and getting on with it, and when it becomes a song and dance and a banging a gong and saying, look at me, that's when it crosses the line.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. It depends what you want out of being a medium and being spiritual and being a spiritualist. That's fine if you want to go and do the glittery suits and the jazz hands and have 50 tiller girls doing high kicks behind you while you're giving messages. That's absolutely fine, but it's not what I wanted to do.
No. Gonna say I wouldn't want Tiller girls anyway.
No. Maybe the Chippendales, or just putting that out there, Nick. Next time down at
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Okay. I don't know about the Chippendales, but I'll see if I can get the Dream Boys. Good trade-off. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely about just doing the right thing and one other thing that really, really made an impact on me when I was, first coming into development, first coming into this way of life. And I think it kind of like parallels is I was always told the best form of advertising for your mediumship is just shutting up and getting on with it, because people will talk about your work. And thank you, that's the word, Michelle, I was looking for, reputation. Your reputation as a medium will be shared by people. So yes, a good medium gets noticed by reputation. To make so much noise, yeah. I wouldn't have the dancing Dream Boys behind me for egotistical and advertising purposes, because I probably wouldn't get any work done.
No.
Is the honest truth. It is really, really important to remember why it is that we are doing what we are doing. And to quote a very Christian phrase, by their fruits you will know them. That's
Yeah.
why they became saints. That's why they became pioneers. That's why people are remembered, because of the work they did. Stace says the certain affiliation, in my opinion, is all about control, with trying to rule spiritualism, like the Houses of Parliament, trying to get everyone to follow an order when we all work differently to our own truth outside the basic do's and don'ts. Completely agree. You know what? I've got my own issues with various different organisations in this way of life. I don't have any ill will towards them, and I
No.
think to an extent there should be some form of order. There should be some form of not control, but management and accountability.
Yeah.
But as I was told by my mentor, there are no rules to spiritualism beyond common sense. Which is an interesting way of putting it, considering. But I think common sense should be the general rule of thumb for what we do. Don't give healing to someone in a private room unless you've got a witness. I've never given healing unless there is at least another person in that room with you, for their benefit as much as mine, so that they feel comfortable, so that they feel safe, because every church, every center, every group should be a safe space for people. And it is those, there's another word, standards.
Yes.
Standards. But once again, those standards are enforced by spiritualists, not organizations. Because, as I always say, that I don't run my church, the congregation does, and they run it by the rule of feet. If I don't provide what they are in requirement of, if I make it all about me, they will vote with their feet and walk out, and that's what spiritualists do. They share about, every single day, I am not kidding, every single day I will get a message from someone saying, oh, have you seen so and so work? Sorry, what were you talking about? Oh, I went and see a medium and they are absolutely brilliant, you have got to watch them. And that is the thing. That is the thing. So I think it's really, really important that we remember who's actually in charge: spirit and the people.
Yeah, that got me with when you go into a church and you know what it's like, the chairperson comes and greets you and takes you off and tells you all about what we do and what this is how we do it in this church and da 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 da. And invariably, I'll be fine. I'll be kind. 8 out of 10. Hi, Mandy. 8 out of 10 churches I go into, when you talk to the committee, they talk about their church.
Yeah.
And my response is, no, it's the congregation's church and it's Spirit's church. That's who you run it on behalf of. But no, not our church. You know,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I will refer to the church that I'm a member of as my church in the same way as
Because
every single member would. But
yes,
it's a small M rather than a capital M.
yes,
And
that's
there
the
are
difference.
so many capital M's that it
Yeah.
really does make
Well,
it difficult.
I've seen 2 churches local to me that are now saying we are going to have to shut if nobody stands at the next JGM because we will not have a committee. Because they want to be that, well, I'm the secretary of such and such a spiritualist church and I'm the president of such and such a spiritualist church. Oh, that's a bit hard work. What do you mean I've got to turn up to every meeting? What do you mean you want me to run the door? What do you mean?
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that is the thing that people watching this could be considered part of our wider congregation because they are attending something that we've put on under the Independent Spiritualist Alliance banner. So and it's very much not about us. We always say this is
your
for
show.
you guys. You tell us what you want to talk about, and that's what is important. And yes, I agree with Nick that I would say we've been talking to our congregation in our church, meaning the Alliance, but it's not our church.
No,
It's
absolutely.
small O.
Yeah.
Capital O.
And this is what, do you know what you said?
Beautiful comment by Shelley. I've got goosebumps.
This is why I love you, Shelley.
I've got goosebumps.
I have the church in my heart and my friends have joined the congregation. Absolutely. That's what it's really all about. It really, really is. And you know what? When it comes to individual churches, there is a huge crossover. And we found this building up during the pandemic. But even though the pandemic ended, the crossover has not. You know, there are people that come to Littleport that watch you online. There are people that watch you online, that watch the Thursday night services. There are, you know, with SPTV, I've picked up some lovely, lovely people in my circle of friends, and I you know, they're not congregants anymore. They're friends. They're my family.
Absolutely.
And you know, I've picked up some lovely people at SPTV who've come back and watched Thursday nights, seen links with you, seen this, go and watch you. And you know, you can't go anywhere without a hugely wonderful blurred line of people from all of the different places that we are involved with. Paul Bannister's show on a Wednesday night. You know, I've got friends of his and people who watch that who and at the BP garage too. Not for the last 8 months. I never thought I'd say that.
8 months.
But I know.
Wow.
I left in June, so that's 6 plus 3. I've been gone from BP 8 months, but yeah, I would have people turning up there, you know, and we would end up having a chat about that. That's probably why I don't work there anymore. You know, more spiritualism than fuel. But it was fuel for the soul. But yeah, I completely
absolutely.
One thing we always talk about is the church family.
Yeah.
And there are no heads of families anymore, not like there was in days gone by. We were all united in that family of spirit. And
Mm, mm,
Yeah, so oh, bless you, Michelle. Bless you. But
yeah.
yeah, it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. It truly, truly was. But I just like collecting people.
Yeah.
I've always said that if I can make one person feel better, if I can make one person see the truth of spirit, I've done my job. And then just let everyone else get on with, the work of spirit, which is about unity and individuality in unison, in combined, in tandem.
Mm,
And so this is why I love our crossover show, because it is a bit. It
absolutely.
used to be like a crossover, but it's not anymore because it's all one big, you know, it's all one big series. I
Yeah.
like to reference me sci-fi and stuff, and like when Warehouse 13 was visited by Eureka, it was a wonderful crossover show.
Oh, Warehouse
Uh,
13.
I know.
Oh, love it.
How spiritualist was that? Was with all of the psychic energy imbuing those items.
Mm,
Um, and I used to like the idea of crossover episodes, and this
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing used to be like a crossover episode, but it isn't anymore.
No,
It
no,
doesn't feel like it, and
no, no.
everyone coming in together. Like, for instance, me and Paul Bannister, we've worked together a couple of times. He's due, I think, in June to come to Littleport. I helped him out and presented with him when he was short-handed the other night, and I've been on his show a couple of times. I think have you been on Paul's show, Paul Bannister Spirit Talk?
No, not yet.
Paul, get this guy. You'll have a great night. Get this guy. Get him on your show.
Don't know about that.
Um, yeah. But I love seeing the
Yeah,
crossover
yeah,
of all
and
of the different groups that we're associated with.
absolutely, absolutely. It does get me. And there are people who watch this and your Thursday night show, like Miles, who
Yes,
came to us through um, the Rainbow Project,
yes, yes.
started watching the talks you did on the Rainbow Project, then started watching my feeds, and then drift. It's brilliant,
Yeah,
absolutely
and
brilliant.
we do mention on here, in all seriousness, we do mention on here from time to time, we reference the Rainbow Project. The reason we are doing what we are doing now is in no small way thanks to the Rainbow Project members.
Yes,
Because they became heavily involved during the pandemic with spiritualism because they finally found a place where they felt welcome. And in order to protect that feeling of love and compassion that they felt within spiritualism, we founded the Independent Spiritualist Alliance
yeah,
for that purpose. um you
absolutely
know
for that purpose.
i
It, it,
i I think that's as much as I can word it.
yeah,
But
well, yeah,
it was for the benefit of people feeling separated, coming into something where they felt welcome, that we created in that spirit, that all welcome subheading that is the Independent Spiritualists Alliance. Um, what's got you giggling, boy? What's got you giggling?
Adie's comment, it's just made me giggle.
I'm not gonna read it yet. I'm gonna read it out loud. So I'm all right. So Nick and Tony, when you meet someone, they mirror your work to their associates, and you don't need. Yes. Um, we've got the giggles today. Um, Joanne says. Joanne says, I found when lockdown happened, it opened up a new way of meeting like-minded people a couple of years ago. I would never think that we've been doing lives on Facebook and finding a beautiful spiritual community. The church has moved to my home and my heart. Yes, 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 yes. And hello to Bill. Hi,
Yes, hello,
Bill.
Bill.
Once again, there we are talking about the crossover of communities. Joanne and Bill are fellow SPTVers.
Oh, right.
AD he's closer to you than he is to me. He's from Inglemells,
Oh, yeah.
up near Reverend Allen.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Moving
get.
on.
Yes. And that you're absolutely right, Joanne. A perfect example is how we met. We'd only ever spoke on the phone, hadn't we?
Yeah.
And then you spent some time involved with another group, and then you came and got back in touch, and we talked, we worked together, and then the pandemic actually hit, to the extent that Lynn actually did your ordination online.
Yeah.
Which was wonderful. It really, really was. But then after the pandemic finished, it was only what, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because or was it? No, it was only last year that we first physically met, isn't it?
Gosh, yes, because I
Yeah,
served Littleport twice in one
and
year.
yes, this is the thing. We struggle to remember when we physically met. We've been talking for about 5 years, off and on.
Yeah.
More in depth in the last 3-4 years, but we only
Yeah.
physically met last
Last
year
year.
in the car park of the Swan on the River.
Which was bizarre because I got out of the car and when I said nice to finally meet you, it felt really weird to say it because I've known you for
Yeah,
so long. And
exactly. And
yeah,
we have worked so much together online that you kind of forget.
that
So
you
Joe,
haven't
you're
met.
absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tony has been a family member and a friend for years. And then we suddenly thought, well, perhaps it'd be nice to actually meet, because, we haven't.
Yeah.
Um, and, Matthew Stapley, another one, that
Yeah.
we picked him up during the
Along the way.
pandemic
Yeah.
along the way, and once again, that's another connection that everyone's kind of adopted Matthew as their favorite, wishful think, among other
just
things.
yes.
As well as being an excellent medium. And
Mm.
they and this is
And an annoyingly nice guy.
annoyingly nice guy, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely agree. Do you know my only disappointment about the lovely Bill Hughes?
Go on.
His SPTV show is on a Thursday night, so I can never watch him live.
Oh. Oh.
Can't watch him live because it's Thursday and I'm already got my stuff.
You're
But I
busy.
still do watch on the non-live service. And this is the other thing. Going back to what Joe was saying, is that if you wanted to attend a meeting in the physical world, if it was on when something you were doing was on as well, you wouldn't be able to. That's it, it's done. Now, if you are already busy when that person is working, you can still go and see them work. You can
Yes.
still witness
Yeah.
that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though Bill's show, Collective Consciousness, Thursday nights on SPTV,
Go on.
even though Bill's work is on a Thursday night, I can still see him work and watch his show because it's there for all time. Just like all of the previous episodes of the Two Revs on philosophy are available on Facebook and YouTube through our group page, facebook.com/groups/2 Revs, and on YouTube as well. And this is the great thing. We couldn't have done that. We
No.
couldn't have done
No.
that before the pandemic, because there was a little, and yeah, I mean, to be fair, we used to broadcast like the first 15-20 minutes of our services before the pandemic, but not the whole thing,
No. No.
because everyone was afraid to broadcast mediumship from the platform. And then
Yeah.
because we wanted to provide a service to people, all of the churches that did, there were so many wonderful online churches. One of
Oh,
my favorite pickups, of course, Hythe, regular booking with them. The lovely Reverend Ashley Oliver, down on the South Coast, her shows. Laurie, everybody knows Laurie. All of these wonderful interactions has become a grouping all of its own.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I work with Thundersley Church a lot, and they actually have a medium in church, but they wanted that they grew such a large online community that they
yes,
didn't want to let them down on a Sunday evening. So they now have an online service running concurrently with the physical service, and it's
yeah,
absolutely wonderful because it's strange because you flip between the two. So they do the healing, the opening song, the opening prayer with the physical medium, and then the philosophy is done by both, and then into mediumship, and it's
yeah.
brilliant, absolutely
It
brilliant.
is. It is. And of
I just
course, Cherry is in France and is in my circle. You know,
blows your
how
brain, doesn't it?
wonderful is that? It really, really does. And because she's got this wonderful Southern England accent, it is such a beautiful. I always look forward to hearing Cherry. You forget where she is. You forget that she's an hour ahead because and it's the same with whenever we tried to work with Matt, we had to remember that he was like 7 hours different.
Yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
we would have him on remember when we had him on Thursday night together when we did a
Yes,
Thursday
yes,
night
yes, yes, yes.
service. In actual fact, and here's the personal thing for me, excuse me, Matthew and you conducted the Thursday service during the pandemic that I did not attend
Yes,
because I
we did.
just lost Dad.
Yeah,
And, so I'd got Little Port Church basically being conducted by someone in Rotherham and someone in Canada. For the people of Littlebutt, but also the people that had joined from everywhere. And it was absolutely brilliant. And, summed up by the statement here: diverse, adaptable, flexible, and non-restrictive.
yeah, yeah.
And it was
Exactly.
amazing. It was amazing, and that night, I was not planning on coming on, but everyone was just so kind and helpful. My family supported me, and my family was that church, and so I did come and say hello.
You did,
You know,
and it was
and it
so moving. I'm
and it
gonna
meant
go.
so
I'm
much.
gonna
Yeah,
go.
yeah, me too. Whew, it meant so much though, and
Yeah,
I had the
and the
what was the most horrendous moment of my life up to that point became something beautiful, but so public and shared, but in such a discreet and compassionate way.
and the number of people who messaged me personally and said, "Oh, there won't be a service tonight because obviously, with Nick losing his dad." And I said, "Well, no, Nick's actually asked if we'll take the service." And oh God, and when you came on, my phone just lit up with people saying, "Tell him I've said,
Yeah,
send him my deepest commiserations," and da 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 da. And it was just, I thought Vodafone's going to collapse in a minute because it's not going to be able to handle this traffic. It was
yeah.
amazing. And it was people from Texas and Ontario and,
Mm. But
Saudi Arabia. Saudi
yeah,
Arabia. I always
yeah.
forget Saudi
But
Arabia.
I felt so touched and honored, but also indebted to all of those people who connected during that time. And
Yeah.
especially because of what happened when Dad passed away. That's why when the pandemic stopped, I was like, really, really, really got to bring you all with me.
Yeah.
Really got to bring you all with me. And so I did. You know, it's not the same. I get that. We don't give out messages, but my technology skills are pants at the best of times. But you know, everyone came with us.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
the hardest part for me was how everyone was so kind and knowing of Dad, and yet they all came back to church without him
Mm.
because he was very, you know, everyone who's ever been to Littleport before Dad passed, you know, any medium that served had to spend at least half an hour being told by him how to get home. You know, even though they knew their own way home, he would tell them a better way. The service was always, it was always blamed by me, on me, that the service was late starting. It's because he had them in there making them the tea and telling them how to get home and telling stories and all sorts of things. But everybody knew Dad was in the kitchen looking after the kettle, and making sure everyone got tea that wasn't like Nat's pee. Um, because my tea making skills were rubbish. Um, but you know, I just think it was really, really important to thank people by bringing them back to Littleport with us, and you know, people kept us going financially as well as, you know, spiritually during the pandemic.
Mm.
It was the defining moment, I think, for the true community of spiritualism, and it really did sit beyond borders, boundaries, and organisations, and it's continued to roll.
Can you bookmark Bill's comment?
Was that the question?
It's the one that starts with the emojis. And thanks for the plug. Interesting
Yes,
convo.
actually, funnily enough, my finger was hovering over it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Because
My finger
it,
was hovering ready.
it,
Um,
it, it's a bit of a peeve of mine, as I know it's a peeve of yours as well, Nick.
so,
Ah.
Bill Hughes says, in breath, interesting convo regarding online services and DEMS. COVID certainly pushed mediums into a different direction of reaching all those in need. However, what are your thoughts regarding oversaturation and dare I say mediums who haven't gone through the process of defined development and maybe demonstrate in such a way that clouds perception of our work?
Very tactfully
Tony,
put.
yes, firstly, very tactfully put. I have just got to go and do something. I'm going to
Mm.
come off the screen and let Tony have his 10 penneth first. I'll be back in a
Okay.
second. Good luck.
Thank you. Bill, it is a peeve of mine that people do maybe a brief online course and then go out and deliver messages and, like you say, work in such a way that perhaps clouds what we do and overshadows it. I personally have heard horrendous stories of messages that have been given by people, and when I've done the research, like you said, they've done a little bit of this, that, and the other, and demonstrating and taking people's money and doing one-to-one readings with them, and it's not good. I went through training with a lovely medium, and she taught me the way she'd been taught by her dad, and it was wonderful. And she was very rigorous about what you do and how you work with spirit. And well, I say with spirit, with and for spirit, because everything that is done should be in the name of spirit. And it's very frustrating that people are out there calling themselves mediums, and yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And I know Stace said earlier, I knew Stace well before we ever came online, and Stace sat with Jean and myself and a mom through lots and lots of training and lots of services and lots of maybe you could deliver that in this way, or maybe that's not something that person might have wanted disclosing on platform, and and Stacey's now a wonderful medium, and it peeves me that I know we talked about having rules and things, but that with what we do comes huge responsibility. I always say people come into a spiritualist church because they're grieving.
Yes.
Because they're grieving. They may say, oh, I'm only here because I'm curious, or I'm only here because, or I only want to see what goes on, but they want something. They're looking for something. They're looking for closure. They're looking for someone to take some of that pain away that they've carried for goodness knows how long. And we are responsible for what comes out of our mouths. And to say sometimes that, oh, well, it's okay because Spirit told me, don't wash with me, I'm afraid, because nobody should walk away from any encounter with a spiritual person, a medium, a healer, whatever, feeling worse than they did when they walked into that encounter.
Yes.
Nobody should. And like I said, I've heard some horrendous things that have been said about terminations of pregnancy, about suicide, about, well, you're so many thousands of pounds in debt and you can't pay for so and so's funeral. What? That's not coming from Spirit. That's not coming from a place of healing. That's not coming from a place of reaching to the highest of the high energies and wanting to bring upliftment, support, comfort to a person sat in front of you. Not at all. That's where we're talking about ego and look at me, I'm clever. No, you're not. You're destructive. You're disrespectful. You are inflicting pain on somebody who's already vulnerable and in pain. That's not clever. That's not being a medium.
It's not even being human. Let's be honest.
No.
I completely agree. As does, it appears, everybody. Of course they would, because they're decent people. It's nice. It's nice to have. It's nice to have someone speaking in capitals on here that isn't me. I don't really need to add much more. What I will say is there are ways of developing and there are ways of putting the point across. I had a conversation with someone who was a medium I deeply respect, and they used to say to me, it takes years and years and years to train as a medium, Nick. Don't come into this way of life and expect in 6 months' time to be a medium. Now, I'd been sitting in circle and was getting communication from Spirit, so I doubted what she said. Age taught me a lesson, though. It's not the mediumship that takes years and years and years. It's the ability to communicate it to human beings. Firstly, in a way that is not going to be damaging, but also to understand that weight of responsibility that Tony was talking about. There was a comment by, and Michelle did say earlier on about the TikTok mediums. Hey, I've seen some TikTok mediums that are truly wonderful exponents for Spirit, and they do free, no stars, no likes, no thumbs up and roses. They do wonderful readings, free, and then allow people to see them work that way, and then have them booked for private sittings from that. Fine, absolutely fine. But then I've seen the absolute horrendous. There was one particular individual that springs to mind. He was saying, I work as a medium, and I've spoken to lots of people in the world of spirit. They never talk to me about God. They never talk to me about heaven. And as for these mediums, and he got really shirty about it, as for these mediums claiming that a child who has never reached the earth plane gets to live on in the world of spirit, it's rubbish and it's evil. Really? Well, frankly, my brothers and sisters, of which there are 7, would be really, really quite hurt for you to deny they even exist. They have come through mediums from the platform. They have come through to family members. My niece even had one of them turn up in front of her in a physical manifestation. You are claiming those individuals do not exist. There are 2 options for you, matey. Number 1, you are either a complete charlatan fake who is trying to make money out of it. And by the way, when I did my homework, yes, he was. Or you don't understand the mechanics of spirit. And that comes from sitting and discussing and debating. And yes, it takes years. It does take years to understand human beings, to communicate with human beings, and to help people, not hinder them, to give love, not harm, to be someone who can lead, as and Tony's words summed it up perfectly. Someone who you can have someone in pain come to you and leave feeling better. And if you cannot do that, I'm sorry, you've got no place calling yourself a medium. End of.
Absolutely.
Period. Full stop. No more.
Absolutely. And it's like when I talk about spiritual healing, as in hands-on healing, we never claim it to cure all. We never claim it'll cure all your ails. What we say is it helps. And I would never say having a reading from a medium will end your grief, but it may help. It may help. And that, what Nick's just been talking about, really annoys me, because I've lost a child. I had a son and he died in the womb, but he's been around. He's been around me. He's been around Michael. He's been around my other son, Ben. And it you know, to deny a life, is horrendous. And that's the other point I was going to pick up on, Pam, which is Jean said Tony was my fledgling, but now he's. No, I'm still a fledgling because I'm still learning. Just when I think I've got it and I'm comfortable, spirit changed something. They use a different technique to communicate with me. Now, this is really weird. I don't even get to think about the incoming information. It's just my mouth's working and there's nothing coming from my brain at all. They just are using my mouth to get the message over. And it's like, where is this coming from? Because it used to be that I hear it and then filter it and it goes out. But yeah, it's fine. And I just like, okay, here we go. But you never stop learning. You never stop learning. And it's oh, Chrissy, you've put 2 words together there that
yes.
Yeah.
And if I may, that can be very telling. And don't get me wrong, I know some great mediums that are psychics and mediums, and they do call themselves that, and that's fine, because they stipulate the difference between the psychic and the mediumship.
That's the thing, Nick. I am giving you a psychic message. Here we go.
Anyone who sits in my online circle or has ever heard me talk about this before, their eyes are rolling in their heads right now. It's like, oh God, here he goes. Psychism is reading the individual. Mediumship is speaking to spirit.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you're having a rough day, you can go in psychically and get that connection with that individual, and it will kickstart because it's a similar vibration. But, 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 sorry. Mediumship is communicating with the spirit world. Psychism is reading a person. And those that sit there and say, I'm being told you, I'm being told you, I'm being told you, and never give evidence of who they're coming from, then they've got no right to use the word medium in that title
No.
because they're
No.
just psychic. And you
Yeah.
can tell. Someone will, I mean, I know some lovely mediums who say, right, okay, I'm being made aware by my psychic senses, but by what I'm getting from you, is that this is going on. And as I do that, I'm aware of a lady coming in, and
Yeah.
she was this. Fine.
I've done
But
that
if they,
myself. I've
yeah,
done that
we
myself.
all have.
It,
We all have.
I'll get, oh, hang on, there's something there, but it's not coming from spirit. This is coming on a psychic vibration, and I want to say da 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 da. Right, your grandma's saying, and
Yeah.
I was taught your first job as a medium is to prove life goes on, not to give a message, to prove life goes on. If you get a message, that's nice, but your first job is to prove that link, then
Yes.
give a message, then leave on a positive if you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that I learned to do was give people a parting gift from their loved one.
Yeah. They'll leave with a flower or a.
Gonna say I used to do a lot of flowers. It's gotten very pick and mix now. It can be
Yeah.
some really random stuff. But always end on a positive. Always end on a positive. So yeah, psychism is a useful tool, but
It
it
has
is
its
not
place.
proof of survival. It is not
No,
proof of
no, no,
survival.
no, no, not at all.
So thank you for mentioning that one, Chrissy, because I love the opportunity to, as Tony does.
Can I just pick up Shelley's comment?
Yes.
I'm so
I,
sorry. I'm
yeah.
so sorry about that. I mean, if ever you feel you need comfort, please reach out to me, Nick, Jean,
Oh, she
Irene.
does.
If we can't give you a message, we know loads of people who would help
Yeah.
you, and it wouldn't cost you loads of money, if any money
No.
at all.
In actual fact, Shelley now spends £4 a week to be a member of one of my circles.
Fabulous.
She's,
Fabulous.
I've seen such growth from this lovely young lady here, whose birthday it is. Bless you. Yeah. In fact, we were chatting just before the show started. We've got this little WhatsApp group going with the other members of the circles in each circle now. And to hear Shelley say this makes me so proud of her. It's easier to start off with psychism, then spirit can follow on. But there is a difference. So it just shows. It really does show.
Yeah.
I know Michelle and but I'm just going to do a really shameless self-promote here. Barbara and Michelle have both mentioned that I do an online circle. Yes, I do. I've got availability on a Monday at 2 p.m. and Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Get in touch, PM me. We can talk about it. And you get to be as cheeky as this. Listen to you sometimes, Nick. There's nothing wrong with intermingling so long as you identify what it is that you are doing.
Which is just what Stacey said. She
Yeah,
does both, and
yeah,
makes clear
absolutely.
definition.
Yeah, it's so long as you're defining what it is that you're doing. Now, I want to mention this. I did star a comment,
Good.
and I've just found it because I think this is an important one. I have had someone tell me that mediumship should not be given after healing when my healing guides give me messages for the recipient to help themselves. Does this mean I shouldn't give them the message?
I've never heard that.
I have.
Have you?
I have. Yeah, I have.
I've never
And
had.
And it
I was
all
going to say,
stems from these silly rules that are beyond common sense. You know what? Let's be honest with you. There are certain things that we are told to say and not say for the want of a better term, to crawl up the bottom of a legislation that doesn't actually fully apply to us depending on how we work. Everything that I do is my religion. Therefore, you will never hear me say the words, and we was talking about this in church last night, actually. You'll never hear me say the words for entertainment purposes only.
no.
I despise that phrase. Nobody would expect to hear the Pope or the Archbishop of Canterbury say that before they start a sermon. Why should we, if it is our belief and way of life? So, first of all, that term was created for the benefit of shows so that they could fake stuff. We do not fake stuff. Joe,
No.
I know you and I know how you work and I've seen you work and we have talked. So I know that you would never have to do anything like that. And that falls in the category of that. Yes, there should be some restraint. Yes, that you should give it a moment. You certainly shouldn't do it while you're working because you don't want to upset the flow of things. And you certainly shouldn't, for the benefit of the person you are helping, you should not, as Tony said earlier, actually, you should not diagnose, leave that to the professionals. But if, Spirit want to say, oh, you really should be careful about what you're doing, if there's ways of doing it in a discreet way. But that's what we was talking about with Bill's question. It takes time and practice to do it in a way that isn't going to scare the bajinkies out of people. If I get a message from Spirit, I will give it a moment after they've come back and say, here you go, how you doing? Here's a glass of water. Whilst I was there, yeah, I've heard it, and fortunately it's not as obvious as that other one. But yes, if you've got information from Spirit want that information passed on, and so long as you do it in the name of love, truth, and light, and only for good, get on with it and do it. End of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. There's been a lot of comments.
Yes.
We'll just pick. Oh, hello, Sam. Sam's on. Hi, Sam. Bill Hughes' comment: construct the message like a story. Beginning, evidence. Middle, message. Ending, parting gift. Absolutely. Totally agree. We'll be getting to that in our circle. Barbara says, as regards to mediumship, I was in horrors myself, having researched in places like Birmingham and other places. I appreciate there are a few good ones, but certain ones who were charging £60 for the hour were dangerous. The stuff they used to say is, your house will be broken into, Barbara, and I see people are trying to attack you. Thank God it never happened. And no, it wouldn't, because it was all a load of Italian sausage, also known as bologna. They're not giving evidence and they're charging a damn fortune. Look, I know I've heard worse. In an actual fact, when I was on the East London District Council of a certain organisation, we dealt with someone who was a healer who was charging £500 for 30 minutes as a healer. And I was proud of my organisation, of which I was a part of at the time, because we put the word out and made sure that person never worked again.
That is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And I have no issue with anybody being a full-time medium and wanting to pay the bills and wanting to run the car and want to put food on the table. Not an issue. Not an issue. It's when it drifts into the realms of ridiculousness that is. And what I always say is, what Spirit doth give, Spirit doth taketh away. But unfortunately, if you're not working with Spirit in the first place, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference, does it?
This is the thing. And you're absolutely right. Yes, as Spirit gives, Spirit will take away. But what about the fakes? If we all sit and we do exactly what we are doing now, talk to each other, communicate with each other, you will always see these really common themes, these really, really, and you know what? I'm so lucky, deeply fortunate, and truly blessed with every single individual that is a member of the circle that I'm blessed to have in the week, because we all have anywhere between half an hour and in some cases an hour and 10 minutes, isn't that right, Karen and Shelley? Talking about spiritual matters before we do the work. So we'll actually sit and talk about spiritual philosophy, a bit like what we're doing now, but as part of the circle, and it will lead into the work we do. Only by sitting and having those conversations about whether we should or shouldn't give a message, what is the difference between psychism and mediumship, whether healing is chargeable. You know, I've been paid for healing. I'm not going to lie. I've been paid for healing, but I don't set a fee. If people want to give something, and even, you know, is a make a donation to your favorite charity before I'll take money myself. But if people feel that they have to give something, that's entirely up to them. But I will never put a price tag to it. And if they give me more than I think that I'm comfortable with, I will actually donate it to a charity for them. But to charge and that was a genuine situation. In actual fact, June Hughes occasionally watches these. I was with her at the time in said organisation. I was so proud of that groupage for what we did to make sure that person never worked again, because Spirit weren't going to take that ability away from them, because I would challenge that they had that ability in the first place.
No.
But a group of people got together, talked, and stopped them working.
Yeah.
And that's what we as spiritualists need to do. As much as, you know, we started talking about the pioneers and how they became known and famous, how they became honored by spiritualism because of the compassion, the kindness, and the love that they did for their work.
Yeah.
Always remember being told, if you want to see a medium, go to a spiritualist church, pay a few quid to get in, see them work. If you like them, book them privately. That's the easiest and cheapest way round it. However,
Yeah.
we can flip that if we all talk about what is and what isn't spirit. If we all talk about how we can be entertaining without being entertainment. If we all talk, communicate, and work together to share our thoughts and ideals. I've seen nobody disagree on here in this chat.
No.
Different takes, different perspectives, but all very respectful and kind-hearted and good measured. The point is this: if we keep talking about it, if we keep sharing our thoughts and feelings and ideas, then absolutely everyone will find out the truth. And then we will stop them from doing these horrendous things.
Absolutely.
If you spot, we should remember to share the negative ones as much as we do the positive ones, so people can avoid being, frankly, avoid being shafted.
Yeah, exactly.
Put them out of business, because they are not spiritualists and they
I
are not
agree with
even
Phil.
spiritual.
Amen. Amen. But if anybody comes to me for a message, or comes to Michael and says, "Can I book Tony for a reading?" he'll say, "Have you been to your church?" You know, he'll have a look at where they are and he'll say, "Your local church is da 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 da. Go there, see if you get a message first. It'll only cost you a couple of quid."
Yeah.
And, you know, and then if they come and ask me, I personally just say, well, if you could just give a donation to the Rainbow Project, or if you don't want to give to an LGBTQ charity for whatever reason, find a charity you want to donate to, give them some money, because, you know, I'm in a fortunate position. But like I say, there are mediums out there who have to ask for a fee to pay the bills, to keep the roof over their head.
Keep a roof over her head.
No problem with that. Not a problem with that at all. But when it's £500 for an hour of BS, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
What really hurt me once was somebody watched one of my services and I gave a reading to a particular lady, and he messaged them afterwards and said, "Your son's with me. He's telling me da 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 da." Gave her a reading for free, and then hooked her in, and that really hurt me because it was through one of my online services, and I thought, oh my word. And as much as I would say, please, please, please don't go there anymore, because it shouldn't be costing you this amount of money to hear from your son. She was hooked. And what can you do?
Anyway. And Evelyn, hello. We were
Evelyn.
talking about you a little while ago.
We were indeed.
When we were talking about our global friends.
Yes.
So good to see you, my love. What time is it with you, my darling? Curious. But yeah, we really should share the negative people
as well as
to protect each other, to look after each other, because only by right, this is another big one of mine, and I really do get antsy about it. If I get on my high horse, I apologize. No, I don't. I'm going to. We talk about Spirit taking responsibility for the situation. We are living Spirit. If we have an ability to do something about something, we should. I trust Spirit, and I know that they will always look after us, don't get me wrong. But if we are able, as the living Spirit, to make a difference to someone's life, then we should. Let's not leave it to Spirit. Let's get on with it as living Spirit and actually do something about it. Tony, we've talked several times about the way we promote really good mediums and try and protect our congregations. That's our job. And if people ask me for a reading, my job is to make sure, as you said, let them leave happier than they left. I will say to them, come and see me work before if someone wants to book me, I'll say, come and see me work. It's only £3. I'm serving my church next week, or come and watch me. I'm doing a demo online, before people will actually book me, so that they can see what it is they're getting. If people behave like that, which, I'm blessed to know so many wonderful mediums who have that kind of feeling and belief of how to promote, quote unquote, themselves, then you will know they're genuine. Know they're genuine. But if they do not give an identifier as to where that information is coming, take your money and run.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a great responsibility doing what we do, and it shouldn't be taken lightly, and it shouldn't be taken the mick out of by charlatans. It shouldn't, and it's wrong, absolutely wrong. Chrissy, I see two people doing tarot readings and spiritual readings, and I thought they were taking advantage of vulnerable people that are grieving. It's absolutely sickening. Here.
Yeah, I tell that there. I will actually find out their names and give them a plug. There is a friend of mine who works on TikTok, who is actually a decent, genuine medium. He's been developing, and if you've been with him since the beginning, you've seen the progress. He actually said, I'm coming on here to give free messages out because I'm in development and I want to try it out on people. So I'm going to try it out on here. So if people want a reading, just pop your name in the comment box and I'll give you messages. And I've seen him grow and develop as a medium, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. So there are positives to it. There are good ways to it, but that goes back to that old saying, by their fruits you will know them.
Yeah.
Bill says we should be lifting each other up and supporting one another's journeys. After all, isn't that just a small aspect of being sport? Absolutely. I will just share this comment. I'm going to see Minty May tomorrow. I paid for it, but it doesn't. But it does include high tea. Treat myself for my birthday. Absolutely. Minty May, saw him work on Monday. He came on the show on Monday with me and Dawn. Lovely guy. Told the story about how his grandmother got grumpy with him because he wouldn't read tea because he doesn't like tea. What a lovely he. So he's a lovely guy and he's a good medium. I sat there working with him on Monday. So once again, this is what Shelley's done. She's seen him work, noticed and recognised him as being local to her area, gone and got a booking.
Brilliant.
And that is the advantage of the online stuff that we do, because we can now share, and it does go back to what Bill said. We should be lifting each other up and supporting one another, not trying to be better than each other. I'm never jealous of a successful medium. I'm in awe of a successful medium. And, if you see a medium saying, oh, that person's not a very good medium, ask them why. And if they can't say anything other than, platitudes, question it. Go and look for yourself, because some people don't always click with a medium. There are people that don't always click with me and my work. So judge for yourself in a way that is safe and affordable. Like, for instance, these online programs where, you've got people coming on as a guest medium. There are many different online shows now. Paul Bannister does his Wednesday night one. He's got someone different every week. All of the guys on SPTV do wonderful shows. Tony, you come on and demonstrate your ability for people frequently. Watch them how they work, because then you can judge for yourself rather than, I said, if someone says, oh, don't go for them, ask why, because there's always a risk that they just didn't click as a human being. And so on
absolutely.
Can't keep up with the comments now because
I know the flying.
Where is Joe? There is no place for jealousy and envy in spirituality. The success of our fellow mediums is all of our success, because the more we've got good, genuine, decent mediumship out there in the world, the more we squeeze out these rubbish, fraudulent con artists who make us all look rubbish. So, I mean, Bill, love Minty May. Honestly, he was hilarious to talk to. He's just such a naturally funny guy, as well as being a good medium. So it just proves his worth by the fact that someone's watched him work and gone and got a booking from him because they live nearby. Isn't that brilliant? It's just, but that wouldn't have happened without the online stuff.
I love working with new and up and coming mediums.
Yeah,
I love it. I actually took one of the girls we've been working with to a spiritualist church where the president said, and I quote, "Oh, if I knew you'd be bringing a fledgling, I wouldn't have come. God, people get bored when fledglings are on." I weep.
Yes. Because people don't get bored when fledglings are on, because it's somebody new, somebody different, and usually a selection of people they can pick from. We had Wendy was always very, very keen to get fledglings on the platform. And we had a group of fledglings from a friend of mine. She's a medium who has a development circle. She brought 4 of her girls along. One of them still serves us now twice a year. Amazing. And the future of this way of life, we will die out as a way of life without the new and up and coming mediums. It is
I'm 56. I'm not going to be here forever, and
Yeah.
I know I want to know that whence I do depart the mortal coil and come back and haunt Nick forever and ever and ever and amen. No, I won't be haunting Nick forever and ever and amen, because I'll be sat in Matthew Stapley's house. Anyway, oh, I'm all unnecessary. I want to know that there are good people coming up behind me, and I mean, obviously they're not going to take my place, because who could, darling? But you know,
Of
they're going
course,
to be,
darling. Of course, darling.
But to pick up on Shelley's comment, which I just saw, Shelley, if I'm doing online services, you are welcome to join me through StreamYard anytime. Anybody is. You can come on, even if you just sit there and you don't get a lot, that's absolutely fine. But we would never, Nick's the same, Jean, Irene, myself, Stace, we would never let anybody look stupid.
Here,
We
here.
would never leave you floundering. I've seen it done. I was asked to accompany somebody on a rostrum for our first time. A very well-known medium had put her up and said, "This lady can do your service." She asked me to join her. She wasn't ready to hold a full service, and it was cruel and unnecessary.
Absolutely.
I will always say, come along with me. And what I tend to do, and Jean, is we take on less and less of the service as we take people out, until they're there and they don't realize that they've actually taken 99% of a service. But no, seriously, anybody who's sitting in Nick's groups or is sitting in a group and wants to do some online work, because I remember one medium came onto my online service and said, "Oh, I've never done blind readings before, though, like this on the internet. Don't know if I can do it, dear." Didn't you, dear?
Yeah.
And it was just like bang, 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 bang. Evidence, message, gone. Evidence, message, gone.
It was because I was so used to standing up. Do you know, that was the hardest thing for me, actually. Standing up. I'd only ever worked standing up. So to be sitting down was enough. But then when I was working online, I was always bringing someone up on the screen with me. So I'd got that. But I'd never done it without someone actually being on the screen with me, just talking to the comments. And it was the first time I did it with you. And it was a hell of an experience. It was amazing. And I loved it at the end. I'm not going to say that I enjoyed it to begin with, because I was trembling with fear and trepidation, but it's part of the growth process. And you know, I always tell anyone who's in circle, and I think we have a responsibility to this, I tell them my failures as much as my successes.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't want them to experience the same problems that I've faced if I can help it. Sometimes you need to, and I get that. But if I can help someone not go through a negative experience that I've experienced, that's my job, because they're not my circle members, they're my friends, they're my family. And
you don't want them to fail. But and what I would say as well is work with. Sorry, somebody just pulled into the caravan over, and the dog was like, "Oh, hello." What was I going to say? Oh yeah, work with as many different mediums as you can as well, because we all work differently. We all work differently. I was with a medium the other day, and we were working together, and she said, "Oh, and I don't like no. Tell me you're unsure, but don't say no to me, because it blocks me." And I thought, you say no doesn't frighten me. No means 99% of the time, if I get a no, it's spirit have given me something. I've interpreted it in my terms of reference, but that's not what it means to the person sat in front of me.
Correct.
You know, if they snap a twig in front of me, it usually means there's a trust broken around them. But to somebody else, it could mean something different. So if I say to them, "They've snapped a twig, you'll understand where a trust's broken," they go, "No, that's not me. That's not spirit getting it wrong. It's me," because of the interpretations. And
absolutely,
Shelley, never fear. I would also translate if you give me. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to mute myself a minute.
You're fine. Whilst Tony is muted, yeah, absolutely. It is an absolute privilege to watch people develop. I think it's the greatest blessing of this way of life, personally. You know, and I reference what Tony said. Everyone who is in the circles that are with me, they are in numerous circles. You know, and we talk about it as well. Always get different views, get different ways of working, because what I might say in one circle might not really resonate with you. You know, if I say, you know, try this, it might not be really the most comfortable, easiest way of working for you. But in another circle, they might say something that's like really bang, bang, bang. I was
Mm.
talking to someone who's in the workshops, the VIP workshop for tonight on SPTV. We're doing 4. It's kind of like a taster workshop. I was talking to someone this morning who was on it. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's lovely. It's all on Zoom. I was talking to one of them this morning. They'd enjoyed the meditation that they had with me on. Here he is. Speak. He heard his ears burning. He heard his ears burning. The lovely Minty May. God bless you, my friend. We have been talking about you greatly today. Yes,
Watch it
your
back. You'll
ears.
never believe what they said.
I know. Ears burning, mate. Ears burning. Really, really, really great guy. Welcome to the show, darling. But yeah, I mean, what was I saying? Oh, I got all.
Circles and
Oh yeah. So I was talking to someone this morning. They'd enjoyed the meditation that we'd done, and had been listening to ones online and weren't getting on very well with them. And I've experienced that myself. There are certain meditations that I really enjoy, certain ones that just do nothing for me. So I sent her one of mine, and also some that I knew to be from someone else that was similar to the way I work. Doesn't mean to say that they will be the only ones that she ever listens to, because I've already started expanding that frame of reference. But it there will be people. There are people actually who really struggle with my style of meditation. It doesn't mean to say that they're wrong or I'm wrong or vice versa. It's just whatever fits with you. So the more opinions, the more views, the more ideas you can get, the better for your development. The only loyalty we have is to the world of spirit. You know, if someone tells you you cannot be in another circle, I would question that. There may be reasons, that there are some valid reasons. Maybe because they're trying to focus you and deal with a trauma that you're experiencing. But if it's only because they want to keep you to themselves, nah, don't get as many opinions as you can. Honestly, that's why I love this show, because it's not just our opinions.
Oh no,
It's
no.
everybody online, you know.
It's brilliant.
And you can tell how word spreads. The fact that Minty's heard his name mentioned and has come and said hello. You know,
Yeah.
I just love the way this new way of working in this way of life. Get different opinions, get different ideas.
Absolutely.
Speaking of other opinions and ideas, I go to development in the physical world at Poppy Lane. She's preparing for me on the rostrum, but I love the way you introduce us to the big screen. Oh yeah, the meditation we did last Friday. It's just something that you might find useful, something different that you might not have heard before, something that you may have heard before but have forgotten, you know. So share ideas, share ways of working, and share the love, because that's what it's all about. And on that note, my lovely, it's 10-6.
Oh my word! Good grief! How did that happen? So
I know.
What's happening in the world of Brown this week then? Coming up.
Well, tonight, myself and the lovely Dawn are doing the SPTV VIP workshop, number 2 of 4. I'm actually having the weekend away with my better half this weekend.
Oh, lovely.
And of course, coming back to bring a present for Mother's Day. And then let me look at my board, because I get confused what week it is. I'm serving a local church on Tuesday, and then they're doing a psychic supper, and then I'm back at Huntington for their Sunday service.
Amazing.
next Sunday. So yeah, what about yourself?
Well, on Sunday, I'm doing a Mother's Day special at the Meridian Centre in Withensea with the lovely Iris Otten, who is a wonderful medium.
Yeah.
I'm doing one-to-one readings and healing during the day. And then I've got meetings for the Rainbow Project, different days in the week. I'm doing an online with Signs of the Afterlife on Tuesday. I'm at Scunthorpe Spiritualist Church on Thursday afternoon. And that's my week.
Wow. Busy,
Yes.
busy, busy.
Yeah.
And of course, we will be back next Friday at 4 p.m.
We will.
If you want to keep up to date and carry on the conversation, don't forget we've got a dedicated Facebook group page. www.facebook.com/groups/2revs. Keep the conversation flowing. Set us up for next week. Get us ready. We've got obviously the Thursday service. I'm sure you'll be doing something online intermixed with what you're doing. Back, of course, on Monday with my SPTV wife. Dawn's not going to be there actually Monday, bless her heart.
Bless. Who's filling in?
I've no idea yet. What are you doing? Do you want to come on?
It depends what time it is. I've got a meeting.
It's 11 till about 12:30.
Yeah, my meeting's not till 2:30.
There you go. Because I'll be doing the workshop. I'll have a word with Richard. We'll get you on. You can come and we can carry the conversation. Come and join us on there. Stace covered for Dawn last time. And Stace is there tonight as well.
Oh, Shelley. Oh, that's saying goodbye to Grumpy.
Oh, bless you. Yeah. Well, we will send us you healing us.
Yes.
I would never get stuck with Richard because he would. It'd be nice to have him on as a discarnate voice. But Monday will be so I'll have I'll drop Richard a text. Actually,
just let me know.
Actually,
let me know.
I'll be seeing him tonight because he'll sneak in and listen to what's going on at the workshop like last week. So I'll have words. That'd be cool. That'd be nice.
Just let me know. I will be there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone so much for all of your contributions. Thank you so much for your interaction, your questions, your comments, your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. I love you all so much.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I can't thank you enough for spending an hour and 49 minutes listening to me and t'other half waffling.
I know.
There was brilliant.
There is my old store manager, Wendy. I cannot tell you how she would describe it, but it's waffling something.
Yes,
and that's all I'm going to say. But thank you all so much, Tony. A pleasure as always. Absolutely pleasure.
Absolute wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
So we'll be back next week at 4:00. Stay tuned. Keep the cat chat going. But for now, it's goodbye from him.
Bye. And it's goodbye from him.
We'll get that bit right.
We'll get it right. Yeah, we will. My brain's fogged.
Bless you. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.